So today and the coming weeks, I want to do things a little bit differently. I want to talk about books that I read recently, tech books, and that I learned interesting stuff from. And this week, I want to talk about the DynamoDB book by Alex DeBrie. And this is a book about DynamoDB. So DynamoDB, I discussed it briefly in a previous video when I was talking about non-relational databases. So DynamoDB is a wide column store, a cloud database that you can get from Amazon Web Services. And it's meant to be incredibly scalable. So when you start your small web shop and it turns out to be the next Amazon, if you do your data modeling right, you can keep working on that same database. Data modeling here is the game, and that's what the book is mainly about. How do you do good data modeling? Because it's different than you're accustomed to on a relational database. On a relational database, you normalize your data, put your data in different tables. So for an e-commerce application, you will have an order table, a customer table, a product table. And when you want to know what your customer bought last week in that order they did, you have to join stuff, and then you know the whole picture. Now, that doesn't work quite so well on DynamoDB. So DynamoDB is a distributed database, and that means that all the data you want to process are cut to pieces and sent to different machines who each do their part. So that means that each can do their part easily because the data is not too big, and altogether they can process a whole lot. And that's great, but it won't work so well when you try to join things that are on different machines, because then you have to access the other machines to say, do you have this part, do you have that part? And before you know it, the network will become the limiting factor. So that's what you don't want. And that's different in this type of database. So what you do, what I've learned from the book, is you pre-join the data. So you put the customer and the order data and maybe the product data together in an item collection. So this is basically the row of the DynamoDB type of table. And then all will be at the same machine when you want to ask things about that data, and you will get it quicker. So you have to think about partitioning then. How do you want to cut up the pieces so that you can get the right data together? There's things to think about, partitioning keys. So there's a sort key and you can't do put 6 indexes on the DynamoDB table, because that's what you can do in relational tables. But DynamoDB doesn't have that one because it's not the right thing to use. So very interesting to learn how this all works and how, this type of database is completely different data modeling wise. So that's what I've learned from it. I also, now that I have read the book, I know that I think I won't encounter DynamoDB as often, because it's database for relational, for online transaction processing, but not so much for data warehousing, what is the type of database that I encounter much more recently. So if you want to process terabytes of data and make reports of it, DynamoDB is not the right place. But if you want to create an e-commerce database, e-commerce application, then it's totally the right thing to do. So that's was an interesting thing. I have already a list of other books I want to discuss in the coming weeks. Which one it will be, you have to wait and see. See you next week.